Welcome back, grade 4s, to WorksheetCloud.com's online lessons. It's me, teacher Nicole, or Mrs. Frank, and welcome to all any of our new viewers for today. I hope that you're going to enjoy this lesson, but more than that, I hope that you're going to learn something from me today. And if you don't, well, please, hopefully you can watch the video again, or give us some feedback to grade 4 at WorksheetCloud.com. So grade 4 is today's lesson is going to be a little bit different. I know I normally do some practical activity with you, but today's lesson is going to be more practical than usual. So having a pencil or a pen and a page handy will definitely help you today. Again, if you don't want to write or you don't feel like writing, please stand and shout out the answers. I'm sure your parents won't mind. So today's lesson is going to be language in context. And what's different about this lesson is that usually when we learn language or we're teaching language, we look at it in isolation. So basically, I will teach you nouns or teach you verbs or teach you adjectives. But in reality, when you get an assessment or an activity, that is based with all the language content that you've learned over a period of time. So this lesson is basically based on some of the language that we've already learned, and there's going to be something new that I've added in, and we're going to be doing a lesson on that at a later stage. But for today, we're going to be doing language in context based on an activity or based on a writing piece that we've already done. So it's going to be a newspaper article that we've done in one of our previous lessons. And so we're going to use that activity, that newspaper article to do our language from. And I've decided to change things up a bit, grade 4. I've decided to add to my lessons by having a quote for the day. So the quote for today is, giving up without trying is like swimming without getting into the water. Now, grade 4s, I think it's pretty difficult to learn how to swim or even to swim without water. So if we're going to give up before we even try, what's the point, right? So please don't give up without trying. If you're struggling with something, give it another shot, okay? If you can't do maths or you can't do English or you're struggling with one of the subjects, give it a little bit more effort. Try and see how far you get, but don't give up without at least getting yourself into the water, like the quote is saying. I hope that made sense, and let's get into our lesson for today. So, our lesson outline for today is as follows. We're going to play our little game called Let's Figure It Out. Then we're going to recap nouns, verbs, adjectives, and I said simple sentences, but we'll be doing simple sentences when we look at the actual language in context. We're going to be looking at the importance of practice, okay? So some of you are thinking at home now, Miss, we already did nouns and verbs and adjectives and simple sentences. But we need to practice because that's the only way we're going to get better at something is if we practice it. So we're going to be looking at the importance of practice. Then we're going to be using our language in context. So this is what our lesson outline looks like for today, grade 4s, and I hope that you are as excited as me. So let's figure it out. Here is my sentence. Nora ate food. I'm going to give you a few seconds, grade 4s, to spice the sentence up a bit. For those of you that are not sure what I'm talking about, let me explain. Let's figure it out uses the word figure. It's a play on words. So we have done figures of speech previously in one of our other lessons. And so let's figure it out is based on figures of speech. We are going to be adding to the sentence, Nora ate food, by making it a bit more interesting. So some of you can use rhyme, you can use personification, alliteration, simile, a metaphor, okay, onomatopoeia, any one of those, even adjectives, because adjectives definitely spice sentences up, and you can make the sentence a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to give you a few seconds, grade 4s, to do that, and then I'm going to put my one on, okay, because I also wanted to give it a shot. So you can begin now. Remember, when you're looking at rhyming words, grade 4s, you can look at the last word in the sentence, and then you can draw arrows and see what words you can come up with that actually that rhymes with the word food. For those of you that are interested, we can break it up into its parts of speech. So Nora would be a proper noun, ate would be a verb, and food would be a common noun. Right. Noble Nora ate some lovely food. So before I go on to the next few lines, I'm going to first look at my first sentence, okay? Because that's the one that I've actually spiced up a little. And you're going to see I even use the word spicy later on in the little poem here. So, Noble Nora ate some lovely food. I've added in an adjective here, lovely, okay? And you can also see that I have added an adjective here, Noble Nora, okay? Noble is an adjective, lovely is an adjective. And then, if you look carefully, grade 4s, noble, Nora, is an example of alliteration. Okay, so I've added in alliteration there. And then I went further and I said, Noble Nora ate some lovely food. It tasted really good. So now I can see that good and food are rhyming words. So there's another figure of speech I've used. Then again I repeated, Noble Nora thought she would try some spicy chicken stir fry. Okay, so Noble Nora again with my alliteration, and then with my rhyming words with try and fry. And I have another alliteration here, some spicy, okay? Remember, alliteration is when we are using consonants in the beginning of our words, and they are they're either consecutive or they are closely related. So Noble Nora, some spicy. Okay, so I would love to know what you guys wrote down, because remember, this might be my example, but you are able to do or write or spice up the sentence however you feel you want to. Because remember, we are just figuring it out. Okay, let's move on. So, what are nouns? At this stage, grade 4s, I'm sure we all know that nouns are naming words, okay? And there are 4 types of nouns. They are proper, common, abstract, and collective nouns. We have covered nouns in one of our previous activities or lessons, but for the purpose of this lesson, we are just going to recap, okay? We're going to try and remind ourselves on what nouns are and what kind of nouns we can get. So proper nouns are names of people, places, businesses, countries that start with a capital letter. It's the actual name. So I might be a girl or a lady, that's a common noun, but my name is Nicole Frank. So Nicole Frank would be a proper noun, but being a lady would be a common noun. Okay? Abstract nouns are names of feelings or emotions or things you cannot touch. Okay? And it can also be a concept like danger. And then collective nouns are names of groups of things, people, places, animals. Like fish, a school of fish. The word school would therefore be a collective noun. On our next slide, we are looking at verbs. So, What are verbs? And I'm sure you all are shouting out the answers at this stage. And they are doing words. They express an action or describe an action. Can I jump? Can I skip? Can I cry? And we ask ourselves, if we're wondering where the verb is in a sentence, we can ask ourselves, can I? And if the answer is yes, then it should be a verb. So, can I cry? Yes. Can I jump? Yes. Can I word? No. So that cannot be a verb. So you need to practice these kinds of things when we are seeing our language in context, so that when you do have to answer those questions of where is the verb in the sentence or identify the verbs, you know what or how to find the function of the words in the sentence. What are adjectives? Now, adjectives, I think by now, grade 4s, you know, are like my favorite kind of words because they make sentences way more interesting. So, they are describing words, okay? They are using sentences to create effect. So to be creative and to use your imagination and to spice up the sentence, we use adjectives. It wasn't just any girl, it was the pretty girl in the blue dress, okay? And that is the way that we try and make our sentences more creative. So by now, I'm sure you know that adjectives are by far the best. Okay, and we can add adverbs in there as well because they also describe describe the verbs, and they give the sentences a bit more creativity or imagination. So I have now covered a few topics that we've already covered in our previous lessons, but we are going to find out why I did that now. So the importance of practice. Firstly, we need to practice what we learn in order to get better at it. We can't always try things one time because then we'll never know if we need to improve on it, okay? I know I love reading and I think I'm pretty good, but if I don't keep trying or practicing my reading, I will never get better. I won't learn new words, I won't get a better vocabulary, and therefore I need to keep on reading. The same with language. So you've done nouns, verbs, and adjectives before. However, you need to practice using them or learning about them so that you can get better at using them in context. Okay, and then sometimes we forget and we need to remind ourselves. So that happens to most people. You know, we forget something and then we need to remember, oh, that is what they were talking about. So sometimes we forget what the verb is. And so when we get reminded or we practice, we are able to remember more clearly where and what a function of that part of speech is. And then lastly, practice makes perfect. And I'm sure some of you have heard that before. So context. Like I said, I'm going to use a text that we've used before. So I'm using the African black rhino numbers going up. Okay. And here is the article. I've put them in paragraphs because I want you to see that when we are doing an activity, it's much easier if there are paragraphs involved. So I am still here, grade 4s. I just want to get out of your way so that you can read, okay? So the difference now is that this is not a comprehension as such because we're not going to be asking questions particularly about this story. I know we've done that already. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at this text and we're going to answer questions that are based on language, okay? So in the next slide, I have the language activities. But for now, I want us to actually read the text because in order for us to know what the function of a word is, we have to read, okay? So we're going to read this text now, and then after this, we're going to go on to the questions that are based on this text. The numbers of African black rhinos are slowly rising, say a group of experts who work to protect threatened animals. The increase in numbers is rare good news for animals that have suffered great losses because of poaching. In the past, thousands of black rhinos roamed Africa in the areas south of the Sahara Desert. Over the years, these huge animals were almost wiped out, mainly because of poaching. Poachers kill rhinos for their horns. Other people, called traffickers, buy the horns and sneak them out of the country. The traffickers sell the horns again and for even more money, usually in Asia. In some parts of Asia, especially China and Vietnam, many people think rhino horns have special powers. They pay a lot of money for the horns, sometimes grinding them into a powder and selling the powder like medicine. Rhino horns can sell for more than $60,000, not rands, a kilogram. So, that is my text. And now we're going to move on to the questions that are based on this text. Number 1. Mention 2 adjectives in paragraph 1. This is just a abbreviation for paragraph. Now remember, grade 4s, we've done abbreviations, and I'm sure some of you are going, but Miss, there should be a dot there. So you see, even teachers can make mistakes. Write down an adverb from paragraph 1, sentence 1. So now we'll go back to our text and see where this adverb is that should be in paragraph 1, sentence 1. Give an antonym, opposite for the word safe in paragraph 1. Now, I said in the beginning of the lesson that we're going to cover topics that we haven't done before, and that is antonyms, okay? We will be looking at antonyms and synonyms in another lesson, but for this lesson, I want you to take note that antonyms are opposites, words that mean the opposite of. So basically, for the word safe, we need to find a word in paragraph 1 that means opposite of the word safe. Give the antonyms of the following words in paragraph 2. Again, antonyms mean opposite, okay? Words that have the opposite meaning. North, in, small. Give a word for a dry place with little to no rainfall. So there in paragraph 2, there is a word there that means a dry place with little to no rainfall. Poachers kill rhinos for their horns. This is written in present tense. And how do we know that it's written in present tense? I look at the verb in my sentence, and the verb is kills. So that means that it's in present tense. I want you to write it in past tense and then in future tense. And the sentence is taken from paragraph 3. Give the definition of the word sneak. So the word sneak is used in the text. I want the definition. That means I want the meaning of the word sneak. 2 proper nouns in paragraph 4. A pronoun in paragraph 4. And 4 verbs in paragraph 4. So those 2 proper nouns, I can already remember them from what I read, but we will see them soon enough. I want a pronoun from paragraph 4 and 4 verbs from paragraph 4. So grade 4s, these questions are still based on that text, but it's different in the fact that it's not a comprehension activity. It's a language activity. So now we are using what we've learned in language into a context, and the context is of the text, the newspaper article. Okay, so now I'm going to put them together side by side so that we can see if we can come up with the answers. Side by side. A song by Ariana Grande. Okay, so here we have our newspaper article, and again I've numbered the paragraphs for you because it makes it easier when you are answering the questions to know exactly which paragraph the answers are coming from. And over here I have the questions next to it. And as you can see, grade 4s, I'm in your way. So I'm going to just move out and move down so long. And then when we're done with those questions, I will move up again. Okay, so mention 2 adjectives in paragraph 1. Now, grade 4, some of you would see and say, but miss, there are more than 2 adjectives in paragraph 1. The point isn't to mention all of them. As long as you have 2 of them, that's great. Remember, you need to follow the instruction. So let's look at paragraph 1 and see if we can find our adjectives. Okay? Adjectives are describing words. The numbers of African black rhinos are slowly rising, say a group of experts who work to protect threatened animals. The increase in numbers is a rare good news for animals that have suffered great losses because of poaching. Now, adjectives describe nouns. So, rhinos, African black. Both of those words are adjectives. Group of experts who work to protect. This word is a noun. Animals, threatened animals. So not any kind of animal, threatened animal. So threatened is also an adjective in this paragraph. Do you see why it's important for us to read the paragraph again and again? Because we need to see what the function of the word in that sentence is. Sometimes the function of that word would be a noun. For example, if I say I go to school every day, the word school would be a noun, okay, a common noun. But if I say that is a schoolboy, the word school is no longer a common noun. Then it would be an adjective. So please, grade 4s, read, read, read. The increase in numbers is rare good news. So news is my noun. So therefore, rare and good are nouns. Are adjectives that have suffered great losses. So great would also be an adjective. Write down an adverb from paragraph 1, sentence 1. I'm going to give you a few seconds to find that one. Okay, the numbers of African black rhinos are slowly rising, say a group of experts who work to protect threatened animals. That's paragraph 1 and it's sentence 1. And the adverb I'm looking for is the word slowly. Very good. I think I'm going to take out my pen so that we can actually do the activity together. Okay? Right. Okay. So we've now identified our adjectives. I said those were one adjectives. Okay. Threatened animals, rare good news, great losses. Okay. Now let's look for our adverb, and we identified our adverb as slowly. So we can always circle around slowly, otherwise things are going to get very, very confusing. And obviously my circle is terrible. So, right, give an antonym opposite for the word safe in paragraph 1. Now the word safe means that everything's okay and the person is protected. A word that is the opposite to that meaning would be the word threatened. Okay, so here threatened, I'm going to block it off, would be the word I am looking for. Give the antonyms of the following words in paragraph 2. North, in, and small. Please read this paragraph, grade 4s, and see if you can find those 3 antonyms. Remember, antonyms are words that are opposite in meaning. Okay, so the opposite of north is south. The opposite of in is out. And the opposite of small in this paragraph is huge. Okay. Then, give a word for a dry place with little to no rainfall. Look carefully, grade 4s. What word in paragraph 2 could mean a place with little to no rainfall? And I'm sure you all got it. It is the word desert. And as usual, grade 4s, I'm in your way, so I'm going to move up. And we can go to our next question. Poachers kills rhinos for their horns. This is written in present tense. Okay. We want it in past tense and in future tense. Simple past and simple future tense. So remember, when we are busy with tenses, we look at our verb, and our verb now in this sentence is obviously in present tense. So if I want it in past tense, I know that I take away my S and I add my E and my D. Okay, so I have attempted to make an E here and a D. Okay, so it would be poachers killed rhinos for their horns. And then future tense, I would then put a word will there. Okay, so it would be poachers will kill rhinos for their horns. Definition of the word sneak. Okay, so the word sneak here, I said other people call traffickers by the horns and sneak them out of the country. So the word sneak means something that obviously people mustn't find out about it. It must be a secret. Okay, so think along that line, grade 4s. I'm not going to give you the answers now because the answers are in the next slide. So I want you to think along that line. 2 proper nouns in paragraph 4, a pronoun in paragraph 4, and 4 verbs in paragraph 4. Now, I've given you most of the answers and I did it with you because I wanted to practice with you. But I'm going to ask you to pause this video at this stage to try and get the answers. And now in the next slide, I'm going to give you the answers, okay? So, let's move on. So, I've already given you up until number 6. So, we are going to go to number 7. Sneak means softly moving around so no one can hear you. And obviously, if they're trying to sneak the horns out of the countries, that means that they don't want anybody to know about it. And the 2 proper nouns were China and Vietnam, names of countries. The pronoun I was looking for is the word them. And then the verbs in paragraph 4 were think, pay, grinding, selling, sell. Now, I do understand that there might be more in paragraph 4, and that's great as long as you know that they are doing words. If you have gotten auxiliary verbs as well, that's fine. Okay, so grade 4s, that is it for my lesson. I hope that I made sense in what I was saying in this lesson. And if I didn't, please send an email to grade4@WorksheetCloud.com. An activity is provided for you after this lesson. And I really hope that you enjoyed this. From me, Teacher Nicole Frank, I wish you a wonderful day further. Goodbye.